again, we're trying to find people like you who've done this a number of times and have created finance functions a few times to tell us, is the function changing in some way? In what respect? As it becomes more customer centric like this.
Oh, it's a great it's a great observation. If you look at the Office of Finance 20 years ago, so if I think about what the finance function looked like in my first company, and largely what I saw in my clients when I was at Arthur Andersen, finance was a very compliance controllership type of organization. FP&A existed. It was really about, balance sheet and P&L variances. Even if you look at the tools that were available to organizations back then, they were pretty flat, right? It was, why did something change this month versus last month, or this year versus last year, this quarter versus last quarter kind of thing. And so the whole notion of this ability to dynamically manage your business was really left to the best companies in the world. If you just looked at your typical mid-market business, finance was kind of, the bean counters in the back office that just, kept the lights on, paid the bills, paid the employees, and made sure that, all the financial statements were completed on time, et cetera. If you look at the Office of Finance today, it couldn't be more dramatically different, right? From things like, to your point, the skills. When I came out of university, I barely knew how to use Excel in the Office suite, right? We were learning, theory and concepts and for me, it was business economics. But we didn't learn how to write SQL or, God forbid, going actually into Python, R, or Scala, right? We didn't have any programming concept. We didn't understand how to manipulate data or work with data. Young professionals coming out of university today, they can write code, right? They know how, they're comfortable with data and manipulating data. And the advantage of that is the level of insight and detail that they can drive into in the business is worlds different than it was before. So all of a sudden, you have this renaissance where you have this organization that previously was looked at as a cost center, not providing a tremendous amount of value, keeping us out of jail, keeping us compliant, to an organization that, I describe to my organization, we have a front row seat into everything that happens in the business, right? And so it is our job and should be expected that we're providing as much insight and forward-looking perspective on the business as any organization in the company, right? We have the benefit that we get to see what's happening with all of our customer dynamics. So we're not just a sales guy dealing with a small territory. We're not a sales manager dealing with a larger territory. We're not the head of sales dealing with the global sales organization. We have that plus everything else that we have in terms of our purview. And so it's significantly, I think, changed the strategic nature of the Office of Finance. Not to mention, as finance leaders, because we have such a breadth of information available to us, I think we have a unique position to be able to advise and inform the company on decision making in ways that it can be, more strategically interesting. So I think it's changed pretty dynamically. Specific to the team that I've built, we probably spend as much as a fifth of our time customer facing, right? So we are sharing how we've deployed Alteryx throughout our organization. Again, as I mentioned, we have the benefit of, everybody in the company uses Alteryx. So, we have hundreds of use cases that, we can share with the world, and we do. And so, my tax director gets on the phone with, tax directors of Fortune 100 companies explaining how we're using Alteryx and how maybe it can help them. I've got my head of FP&A doing the same thing. I've got my head of internal audit, and go down the list. So, organizations, I think, you look at today, there's an expectation that finance goes well beyond just, the basic blocking and tackling.